across the vast plains of Africa, where the earth cracks under the blazing sun and the darkness stretches to infinity. The wind carries not only heat, but also the scent of blood and fear. This is the realm of the lion, the only big cat that lives in prides. But behind the image of a king lies a brutal instinct. An instinct that once drove 2 lions to tear apart more than 100 people in just a few months. What turned the king of the savannah into a merciless killer? This is a true story of power, intelligence, and the darkness within nature's most perfect feline predator. Lions, when power turns into carnage. But to understand why lions became what they are, we must go back tens of thousands of years. Their ancestors once ruled almost all of Europe. The colossal cave lions stood over 1 meter tall at the shoulder, stretched more than 2 meters in length, and may have been the largest big cats ever to exist. Humans painted their images on cave walls, not to worship them, but to remind each other of fear. Today, that kingdom is gone. All that remains are Africa and a small patch of forest in India, where a few hundred Asiatic lions still survive, the last remnants of a fallen empire. In the animal kingdom, cats have always been the embodiment of perfection. No matter the environment, from the dense jungles of the Amazon to the African savannah, to the frozen peaks of the Himalayas, cats are always the dominant hunters. They move like shadows, kill in a single motion, and vanish before their prey even realizes it's dead. From the small wildcats of Asia to the mighty black panthers of the Congo, they all share 3 common weapons: absolute silence, razor-sharp claws, and a lethal bite. And the lion is no exception. In the world of predators, strength is not a privilege. It is the condition for survival. And for the lion, its body was made for one purpose only: to conquer. An adult lion can weigh between 130 and 190 kilograms. Compared to most other cat species, they are true giants. But within the feline kingdom, the title of the largest doesn't belong to the lion. It belongs to the Siberian tiger, which can weigh up to 250 kilograms and reach a length of more than 3 meters. However, lions possess something that tigers or leopards do not: the power of unity. When they join forces, 3, 5, or even 8 individuals attacking together, they unleash enough strength to bring down an African elephant weighing over 6 tons. They rely not only on muscle, but on intelligence. It's not just hunting instinct, it's strategy. Within each pride, the females, the true hunters, coordinate with astonishing precision. Each has a role. Some flank, some block the escape route. Others strike head-on. This is no longer mere hunting instinct. It is strategy, a form of organized warfare among predators. And it is here that the secret of the lion's intelligence begins to reveal itself. When a hunt begins, everything starts in silence. A lioness lowers her body, eyes locked on the prey. She doesn't charge immediately. Instead of attacking immediately, she turns her head and looks at the others as a signal. There are no words, just a glance, a faint growl, and the whole pride understands. They move together like a perfectly synchronized machine. Each lioness has a designated position. 2 move to the sides, taking the role of flankers. Those in the center stay silent, waiting for the moment the prey changes direction. When the prey starts to run, the circle closes in. Another waits at the center, hidden in the tall grass. When the prey enters striking range, she leaps. A precise attack, claws locking tight, jaws clamping down on the throat. The prey collapses after only a few seconds of struggle. When it stops moving, the pride moves in. The first bites target the belly, the thinnest, easiest part to tear open. They rip the prey apart piece by piece, starting from the organs. This method of hunting is no accident. Every step, from positioning and role assignment to the moment of attack, shows a clear level of calculation. It's not just instinct, but an organized strategy. Proof of the remarkable intelligence of these predators. Evolution granted lions the intelligence to survive. But in nature, every gift comes with a price. Once they learned the weaknesses of their prey, they began exploiting them with a chilling coldness. And in history, there was a time when humans were on that list. In 1898, in the arid land of Tsavo, Kenya, thousands of workers were building the railway, linking Uganda to the Indian Ocean, a symbol of the British Empire's ambition in Africa. Amid scorching heat over 40 degrees, mosquitoes, disease, and hunger were only part of their suffering. No one expected that the most terrifying threat would come from the darkness. At night, a low, distant roar echoed through the wind. Then, silence. Moments later, a scream tore through the darkness. Another man was gone. By morning, only a trail of blood remained, leading into the thicket. Two mannerless male lions, massive, silent, and relentless, began hunting humans. Each night, they crept into the workers' camp. They leapt over thorn fences, slipped past the fires, and dragged people away before anyone could react. Survivors said, they feared nothing. It was as if they knew what we would do, before we even moved. John Henry Patterson, the chief engineer of the project, wrote in his journal, "I have never experienced anything more nerve-shaking than to hear the deep roars of these dreadful monsters growing gradually nearer and nearer, and to know that someone or other of us was doomed before dawn." The workers panicked and fled, forcing the construction to halt. They built fences, lit fires, and set traps, but none of it worked. The two lions seemed to understand every human plan. They watched, tested, and learned. If a trap failed to close, they avoided it the next time. If there was fire, they circled around from the wind's direction. It was as if they could read their enemy's mind. Within 10 months, more than 100 people were dead. People called them many names. The devils of Tsavo, the ghosts of the night. But why? Why did those two lions turn on humans? What drove predators that normally kill only to eat to become relentless manhunters for nearly a year? It took Patterson nearly a year to bring them down, after dozens of near-death encounters. When he examined the bodies of the two lions, he discovered something unusual. Both had severe injuries to their mouths. One had a broken lower canine, the other a damaged upper molar. Wounds that would have made normal hunting agonizing. Old injuries, perhaps, from attacking a buffalo or an elephant. That pain changed them. Unable to bring down large prey anymore, they turned to easier targets: humans. When modern scientists analyzed the bones of the two Tsavo lions at the Field Museum in Chicago, they discovered traces of human protein inside their teeth. However, the true number of victims was likely not the rumored 135, but around 72 people. Even so, that number remains terrifying. Why don't other predators do the same? Why is it that only lions, at times, see humans as prey? The answer lies in the way they live. Lions are the only cats with a social structure. They observe, remember, and learn from one another. When a single individual begins attacking humans, that behavior can spread to the rest of the pride. Research shows that in some regions of Africa, manhunting has become a learned habit, passed down through generations. Not out of hunger, but because they've learned one chilling truth: humans can be hunted too. More than a century has passed since the Tsavo incident, but the attacks of lions on humans have never truly stopped. In Tanzania, Mozambique, and Kenya, hundreds of people are still killed by lions every year. Most attacks occur in rural areas bordering forests and wildlife reserves, where humans and lions compete for the same resources. A prime example is found in Tanzania, where humans and lions now live closer together than ever before. In the Rufiji and Siloas regions, small villages lie right on the edge of wildlife reserves. By day, people go out to farm their fields. By night, lions slip into the settlements. The distance between these two worlds is now measured by a bamboo fence, or sometimes by nothing at all. When the dry season drags on, herds of antelope and buffalo move away. The natural prey disappears. The lions begin to approach cattle pens. And then, people. After just a few repeated attacks, a new behavior takes shape. The lions learn to hunt humans. One of the most terrifying cases occurred in Rufiji in the early 2000s. A male lion was nicknamed Osama, not for political reasons, but for the fear it inspired. Over 2 years, it killed at least 40 people around the Rufiji River region. After the death of Osama, the people of Rufiji could finally sleep in peace. But that peace did not last. Every year, hundreds of lions are still shot for attacking livestock or simply for coming too close to humans. Today, many lions are still hunted without reason. Not for protection, but for their skins, their teeth, or simply to hang their heads on a wall as trophies. Worse still, humans continue trying to tame them, turning nature's greatest symbol into circus entertainment or pets behind cages. In the eyes of nature, that is not a victory. It is a disconnection between humankind and the wild world that once sustained them. In truth, the intruder is not the lion. It is humankind, carving roads, building homes, exploiting the land, slowly taking over their territory. And when that boundary fades, tragedy always follows. In nature, there are no monsters and no victims, only creatures struggling to survive in the ways nature has taught them. If the lion is a mirror of nature itself, then the real question is not, why do they kill humans? But, are we killing our own nature? What do you think about this story? Are lions truly killers, or are they victims of humanity's endless expansion? The ground cracks beneath Africa's burning sun. The grass is withered. The wind carries swirls of red dust. No trees, no water, only the heat and the hunger closing in. In this unforgiving land, a few lionesses move slowly. Their steps are steady, their gaze sharp, scanning the savannah like arrows seeking prey. Silent, patient. Every step carries a single hope, a meal or death. Right before her stands a herd of buffalo, massive, slow-moving, almost daring them to strike. Muscles ripple beneath dark, thick skin. Fresh, fatty meat, almost calling out to be taken. But she doesn't move. None of the lions move, because they all know they're too weak. And the buffalo know it. They don't run. They stand their ground, staring back in silence. Horns raised, like a warning. Come closer, if you dare. This forces them to adapt. No longer chasing the big, the strong. They turn to smaller prey, like warthogs and young antelope. Warthogs. In this wild world, they are small and vulnerable. No sharp horns, no claws, and no real power to fight back. But they're not easy to catch. Their sprinting speed is nothing short of remarkable. But the warthog doesn't just run. It knows where to vanish. And that place is a burrow, already dug, waiting deep in the earth. But lions, nature's most relentless hunters, don't give up. Not easily. Not without a fight. They'll dig. At last, with sheer grit, unshakable patience, and a burning hunger, they did it. A scream echoes from deep within the burrow. The lion pulls, hard, dragging life out from the shadows. The warthog thrashes wildly. But there's no escape. This isn't a feast. It's a reward, earned by those who never give up. Once the hunger is silenced, everything grows still. No more roars, no more chases, The dry season has finally come to an end. After months of cracked earth, after winds that burned like fire, after hunts soaked in sweat and blood, the first clouds have returned. A sudden rain falls on the scorched savannah, like a gift from the sky. Dust is washed away. Wounds begin to heal. And from the cracks in the earth, the first green blades emerge. The savannah awakens. Life begins again. The antelope return in great herds. Buffalo once again march across the rivers, and flocks of vibrant birds take to the skies. But the rains bring more than life. They bring new challenges, new predators, ones that never came when the earth was dry. Because in Africa, life is never just a reward. It is a cycle of survival, of struggle, and survival again. With the return of the rains, the savannah is reborn. Grass grows thick again. Water flows freely. Prey returns in greater numbers than ever before. But with it, the scent of blood begins to creep back into the air. Because when prey is plenty, predators don't stay still. And now, the battles begin. For territory, for a meal, for life itself. A darker force is quietly expanding its territory. The crocodile, a cold-blooded predator. Small rivers swell. Isolated pools now connect. Crocodiles, once trapped in the cracked mud of the dry season, are unleashed. They glide through newly formed streams, slip into fresh-filled ponds, and claim lands where lions once roamed freely. And the most dangerous part is this. No one knows exactly where they are. The water looks calm, silent, still. But beneath the surface, jaws may be waiting, ready to snap at anything that dares to step in. Lions may rule the land, but one wrong step into the water, and that crown is suddenly at risk. The crocodile, seemingly sluggish and silent, hides a deadly sense. It's incredibly sharp at detecting intruders, not by scent, like land predators, but by sensing the slightest ripple on the water's surface. A pack of wild dogs is chasing an antelope. The speed is breathtaking. The antelope has no choice. It dives into the water, hoping the current will slow the hunters down. But it doesn't know. It's just made a fatal mistake. The wild dogs freeze at the water's edge. They stare into the lake they just stirred, ears raised, filled with frustration. But then, they step back, because they know that murky water is not their world. In that realm, they are not the hunters. They are the vulnerable. One step in, and the entire pack could be next. And the pack, smart, fearless, still has to give up the meal to a predator they cannot challenge. Anything beneath the surface belongs to the crocodile. No debate, no negotiation. Touch the water, and you've entered the domain of death. A scrap of meat, a rotting carcass, even a living creature. Once it's in the water, it's his. No threats, no struggle, just the rule. Even the lion ruler of the drylands must tread carefully when it steps into water. One slow step, one slip, one moment of pride, and all that power can be dragged beneath the mud. But do you know the strangest truth of the wild? The crocodile, fearless against lions, is afraid of the hippo. The lion, unshaken by crocodiles, won't dare touch a hippo. On the savannah, the lion isn't always the strongest, but it remains the top predator. Because what makes the lion truly dangerous isn't muscle, it's will. Unbreakable will. In fact, scientists have discovered something unusual inside a lion's brain, an abnormally high level of dopamine and norepinephrine, two chemicals linked to aggression, determination, and the ability to endure pain. These lions are circling a young elephant. This is no ordinary prey. A reckless decision, a desperate one, made only when hunger goes beyond the limits of pain. The mother elephant fights with everything she has, desperate to shield her calf from the predators. But the lions are closing in from every direction. They are not alone. A coordinated strike force, driven by a killer instinct honed over generations.